Here we will learn the configuration of exchange rates and how to enter the exchange rates on regular basis. The configuration part will be done in SPRO, SAP reference IMG, SAP NetWeaver, general settings, currencies. First we will check whether the exchange rate types that we want to enter are already configured here or not. So for that, we have basically three types of exchange rates. One is the bank's buying rate. This is the rate at which bank buys the foreign currency to convert it into the local currency. So it happens when company receives payment in foreign currency, then company sells and bank buys the foreign currency to convert and give it into local currency to the company. Buying rate is always lesser than selling rate. The difference is not major. It's very little difference. Bank's selling rate, which is denoted by the letter B. Bank will sell the foreign currency to the company when company has to pay the vendor in foreign currency. So used for accounts payable. Bank sells the foreign currency in exchange of local currency, and here the selling rate is always higher than the buying rate. And it's obvious that when bank is selling, it's making some profit, so it will always sell at the price higher than at which it is buying. Then there is the average rate, which is M. So average rate is the name suggests is the average of the bank's buying rate G and bank's selling rate B. So here you see bank's buying rate is 73 INR for the 1 USD, and selling rate is 74 INR for 1 USD, and average of both. Sorry, there is some error here. It should be 75. So this should be 75, so that the average comes out to 74. So first we will see whether these three types of exchange rates are configured here or not. So we see that we have B, G and M already configured here. Go back. Now we see the translation ratios for currency translation. So translation ratio is that for the exchange rates PG and M that we have configured in the previous step, for each of the exchange rate, for each combination of two currencies that we want to convert, the ratio is defined or not. So if we check that for exchange rate type, let's say M, and from currency USD to currency INR. So we see that for exchange rate M, from USD to INR, the translation ratio is defined. So this translation ratio is always 1:1. That for 1 unit of currency, you want the equivalent of 1 unit of INR. So that is 1 USD equals to 1 multiply the whatever the rate would be. Okay, so you can configure for any other exchange rate types and for any combination of two currencies also, giving a rate valid from. So it will always be, this translation ratio will always be valid from the latest date which is given here. Now we can enter the exchange rates, and the T code for entering the exchange rate is OB08. Now, before that, I would also like to tell you there is one indirect quotation and there is one direct quotation. So, what is the difference and which quotation type should we be using here? So, direct and indirect relates to the combination of the two currencies that we are using. So, when we say the direct quotation, which means that one unit of foreign currency for the local currency. So we'll use 1 USD equivalent to what number of INR. Okay. When we use the indirect, so we say 1 unit of local currency for the foreign currency. It can be more clear with the given example here. So we say direct quotation. So the rate we will enter would be like 1 USD equivalent to 74 INR. But if we want to use the indirect quotation, so we'll have to enter 1 INR equivalent to how many USD. So at any point of time, we can either use the direct quotation or indirect quotation, not both. Okay. So let's say we want to enter the bank's selling rate for the combination of USD to INR. So we would say just ignore this exchange rate type V valid from, we can give any date which we want this exchange rate to be valid from. So let's give today's date, which is the 29th of August. We want to use the direct quotation. So we'll say we'll say from 1 USD ratio will come here. So from 1 USD equivalent to 1 USD is equivalent to 74, which is the bank um, 75 to INR. Okay. And if we say enter, then we say save. So data was saved. Now next, if we want to enter bank's G, which is the bank's buying rate, and then we also want to enter M, the standard rate. We want all of them to be valid from today's date. So we want for banks buying rate 1 USD into 73 INR. And similarly, the average rate would come to for 1 USD into 74 INR. enter, and then save. We go back and check whether the data that we entered has been saved or not. So you see, we entered exchange rate type B starting from 29th of August 2020, and the rate is 75. Similarly, if you want to check the other data, it will be there. Or what you can do, exchange rate type M, you can search also from USD to INR, and you can say valid from. If it is difficult to search from here, then you can see it here. Okay. Now, if we want to download the table of the exchange rates, then what do? We press the print button. If you see this, this is a warning that some cells have been left blank. So if this is not the one that you entered, just ignore them by pressing enter and enter. Okay, now it has given you the list of all the exchange rates which have been there in the system so far, but it's really a difficult task to look for the one that you want to use. So what do? We make some changes in the layout. So we say let's change the layout. So these are all the columns which are shown here, or which are displayed here, right? Exchange rate from currency to currency, valid from. So we need to see that what all columns are relevant for us. So the columns which are not relevant for us, we will transfer them to the hidden fields. So the exchange rate type, we would of course want to know whether it is the buying rate, selling rate, or the average rate. So this is important for us. The combination of the currency, from which currency to which currency the conversion is being made, this is also important. And the date, this is also important because we want to understand that on what date what uh, rate was entered. Okay, so exchange rate, yes, of course it is important, and rest of the columns we can put them into hidden fields. Now we want to see data looks little short, but still the exchange rate types, there may be certain exchange rates which are not relevant to us. So what do we do in that case? So in that case, we use filter. Okay, so we want exchange rates B, or we want to select the multiple exchange rates. Let's say we want B, we want G, and we want M. Okay, so we would have only B, G, and M. Now we want to see only for the two currencies. So again, we can put filter here. So from currency USD to INR. Only from currency and then to currency. We want to see only from USD to the multiple currencies. But if we want to see only the combination of two particular currencies, then we can put filter in the to currency also. INR. We want to select multiple currencies. We can select multiple currencies here. Okay, right. And so similarly, we can do for the dates also. Okay, so we don't want these modifications to make every time we make the changes, or we want to download the exchange rates. So what do? So we have prepared certain layout. We would like to save that layout and use it for future also. So we would save the layout with a new right. And if you want to make it user specific, then it will always you will be the only user will be able to use it. No other user will be able to use this layout. I'm not talking about the report, but the layout. You want to give a description. Exchange rates. You can save it. So next time when you run the report, and if you want it in the similar format, select the layout, and this format will appear. If you want to see how, let's see that. Okay, so we started from here, go here, or just ignore it. Okay, instead of doing or repeating all the steps that we did last time, we'll simply select the layout that we saved last time, and we are there. And we want to convert this, I want to save it somewhere. We can save also. I want to save it into unconverted text with tabs. Let's say unconverted as it is. Choose a path, give a file name, exchange rate, and say generate. And a notepad file has been generated on this path. So that's how we have seen how to enter the exchange rate. In the next class, we will understand how to use the forklist for entering the exchange rate. Till then, bye.